We need to just look up how people do this effectively. I'm sure
All
there's
right.
a way.
Yeah, let's do it.
Isn't that your job?
No,
Yeah.
I don't do talk shows.
One of us
with
gets
people.
paid $90,000 a year to do this,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not me.
It's,
I make $3 an hour.
Okay, should we do this?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay.
Episode 1 of The Magic We Have at Home. Hello, and welcome to The Magic We Have at Home. I am your host, Bjorn. I am joined by my co-hosts, Ren,
Hello.
and our other co-host, Bear.
Hi.
So we are here to build some decks. Our goal with this podcast is to come up with new and innovative, fun decks. We are each of us will bring a deck that has kind of stumped us, or a deck idea that we've tried to build in the past and can't quite figure out, or we just don't know where we want to go with it. We're going to present that idea and our philosophy for the deck, what we're shooting for, and then allow our co-hosts to give us some ideas to just kind of troubleshoot and see if we can't figure out how to make these decks work. If you join us next week, we'll actually be play testing these decks live against each other so that we and you can see exactly how these decks turned out and what we ended up coming up with. That is the goal of the Magic We Have at Home podcast. Shall we begin, gentlemen?
I think we shall.
Yep.
Right. Would either of you like to present first?
Ren, what do you?
I can go ahead.
Do you want to go for it?
I can go ahead.
Alrighty, Ren, take it away. Tell us about your deck, Ren.
So I came up with the idea of I love Halo, and I also love the Warhammer 40k universe. But in the same way that Warhammer only got 4 precons, not even a full Universes Beyond set, I don't think Halo will ever get the love it deserves. So in the same way we have Magic at Home at this podcast, this is Halo at Home. This is the Rakdos Halo ODST deck.
Which you have to tell them what ODST stands for because
Orbital Drop Shock Trooper. They're the guys from Halo 3 ODST. They drop from drop pods. It looks very similar to Helldivers 2. It's the same kind of dropping motion, except if your rockets don't go off, then you'll just end up buried in the ground or pancake. But I'm a big fan of that game, and I just wanted to see if I could build a Rakdos deck where the entire goal is to keep throwing down fodder for long enough that I can just outpace everybody, or if the worst happens, I can just kill everything and then bring it all back to kill everybody in the same turn.
I really like, as I was kind of like looking through this deck list that you gave us, I just kind of thought it was fun because immediately I could just see the idea and I could see the vision once Bear told me what ODST was, because I did have to text him and ask him. But once I found out what ODST stood for and I was looking at this list, it was great because I was just looking at these cards and going like, these just look like exactly what I'd picture, like a military just slamming these into the battlefield, and they're going to take a bunch of guys out and then they're going to die terribly. But like, that's their job and that's what they're made for. And like, I just feel like the cards that you put in here, as I'm just kind of looking at some artwork, like I look at Viashino Blade Scout, it just looks like the sort of thing that you would throw onto the battlefield, let it take out as many guys as you can, and then it's going to die. But that's just what it's there for. That's what it's made for. So I had a lot of fun looking over this deck list.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I really think the theme is really consistent. I mean, just looking at the arts, like you were saying, Bjorn, I do gotta say the land count seems a little low here. Is there any reason we're going for 36?
I'm going straight after your lands.
I'm just saying.
Lands are, listen, 36 is still a lot of lands. It's still more than a third of the deck. And that means in my opening hand, I have a chance of at least 2 lands. 2 lands is pretty workable in this deck because I think the deck's mana curve isn't actually that high. There's a couple spikes, but
you have 15 creatures at 3,
yeah,
and then 14 at 4. So you're pretty centered in that 3 to 4 range.
Land is not going to be one of the things that really, it's like, these aren't utility lands. I've got 18 swamps, 17 mountains.
Oh, before we get too far into this, should you maybe explain what the commander does?
Oh, that's correct. Garna the Blood Flame is our commander today. She's the most ODST looking person based off of her rules and rules alone, because I didn't even look at the art. She has Flash. She is 5 mana, 3 in Rakdos for a legendary creature human warrior with Flash. When Garna the Blood Flame enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn. Other creatures you control have haste.
I do want to say really quick, I was kind of jealous when I saw that this was when you were making. The very first Magic deck I ever bought was the Ruthless Regiments Precon back, I don't know, 4 years ago around. And it had Garna the Blood Flame in it. And I couldn't understand how the card worked at the time. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I took it out. And then later in years, I've like kind of just seen it in my collection and thought it looked cool, but I couldn't really figure out like, well, how would you really build around this? And then I kind of like let it slip away into memory. And then as soon as you said you were going to make it, I was like, oh, that's cool. It's going to be fun to see it. And then I read the card again, and it's been like a couple years since I've looked at this card. And all of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, I know like what sort of stuff I'd be trying to do with this. And then I was really excited. But then I was also kind of like, well, I can't copy Ren and just build the same deck. So I'm going to live a little bit through you as we're talking about this deck, because I do think this commander's super cool.
Nice. Do you mind,
mind
me piping in and asking? So with a deck like this, are you really? I've looked through some of the cards. Are you looking for like heavy ETB stuff here, or are you trying to stay away from?
No, I thought about that actually in one of our themes or cards I want to avoid. I wanted to avoid effects like Warstorm Surge. I think it's lame. I think it's way too easy to just spam out tokens or cheap creatures, because I would just play this deck with Warstorm Surge, Zada, and 99
Impact
one-drops.
Tremors.
Yeah, Impact Tremors, if I wanted to do that. I think that's kind of lame, and I think decks like that kind of crutch around a card like that, they just don't have a lot of personality. And once you've seen one, you've kind of seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
So I went away from that. I also went away from the idea of just board wiping every other turn, like some people Super Friends decks are, because a lot of these creatures are like Flash. This creature gets +1/+1 or a 1/1 counter for each creature that died this turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed that was a very similar like effect that was throughout a lot of the Flash creatures in Rakdos.
They're kind of like combat tricks almost.
Yeah, it's the deck has a lot of combat tricks, but I didn't want it to be a deck that wasn't fun to play against, because I know that having somebody board wipe 4 turns in a row just kind of sucks.
That's just no fun to play against. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do actually like the Flash and the combat tricks too, because I think that also just immediately fits right on top of that theme as well. Like, you have this army kind of attacking you, and all of a sudden this pod just blasts out of the sky out of nowhere, and it's not going to, completely stop everything, but it's going to take some guys with it when it goes. I do, to kind of build on what Bear was saying earlier with the lands, one of the things that has always stopped me when I go to build a Garna deck is the combination of a 5-mana commander that also specifically needs the graveyard to have been filled that turn. That seems really hard to like combo that. I guess because you need to, I was thinking board wipes, I'll admit. But you need to cast these spells or you need to do something to make sure that your cards are getting into the graveyard, and then you have to flash in your commander 4 or 5 mana after you've paid for whatever else it is you're trying to do that turn. So it is just a little bit, I think a little bit tricky. So I am curious kind of what your thoughts or ideas were for how you were going to get around that. And then I did have a couple cards that I looked up as well when I was thinking like, well, how would I do this? But I do kind of want to hear your thoughts first on how you might deal with the mana if it's not with pure lands.
Yeah, so Garna with my lower creature, like my lower creature mana curve, I thought Garna was good because she too has Flash. And so the majority of my deck's idea is if somebody is swinging a lot at me and they're swinging valuable pieces, I can flash out creatures to kill them. Basically, I can cut the head off of the snake, or I can kill your army's general. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the idea behind it. So Viashino, Blood Scout, or Garden Rager, it's a flash creature. When it enters, target creature gets +4/+0 till end of turn. It's a 6 mana drop though, but I can just kill something. my stuff may not be better than yours, but I can kill your stuff with it, right?
Yeah.
And with Garna in the command zone, I may not even cast her during a game.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest. Like if there's a board wipe and it makes sense to see if I can bring back a bunch of important pieces, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But Garna is there in the case of, oh, like I'm in trouble or I'm running out of things or something. Like if I have a Sawtech Immortal, which is when this creature enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn. If somebody has like sacrificed 30 token creatures, Garna could just plop down, get Sawtech in my hand, and for 8 mana, I could have a giant Sawtech Immortal.
Mm-hmm.
Garna is there just to enhance the trick. She's not there to be the center of attention.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense.
She's the deck's backup plan, if you will.
I do have to admit, also, I did, when I was scouting out your deck, I totally did misread Garna, and I definitely thought it returned creatures to the battlefield, not to your hand.
I did too.
So I was like thinking, oh my gosh, you could cheat out all these creatures. You could play discard and then flash in Garna and cheat out these creatures. So that does change it a little bit. And I kind of see why you're going now for like a lot more of these cheaper creatures and a lot fewer like big bomb creatures. Because you're going to need to cast these things over and over and over again.
Yeah. There's only a couple big bomb creatures in here. I labeled them as officers in my little PowerPoint slide. With the idea of...
I saw like Blast Furnace Hellkite, Avatar of Slaughter.
Avatar of Rakdos the Muscle is in there.
Mm-hmm.
There's Chaos Terminator Lord, which just gives something double strike at combat, which is good. Venom Crawler is good. Hexmark Destroyer.
Ancient Stone Idols in here as well.
I love seeing Ancient Stone Idols show up. I just think that card's so cool.
Yeah, it's a card that I find that in my colorless Eldrazi deck, like I don't really want to play it. I just think it's kind of bad in that deck. But a case like this, where its combat tricks the deck, I think it can really shine.
Yeah. One card I was kind of curious about. So I see you run Rise of the Dark Realms in here. That's a card. I think it's just such a powerful card, and I run it in a couple of decks. It's one that I have to work really hard not to just slam in every deck that plays black because it's so freaking good. If you play that card, you probably win the game. I do think, like, while I kind of might roll my eyes at it in a lot of decks, I think that it makes such perfect sense in here, and that you're trying to play your own expendable guys and fill your graveyard with them, as well as take other people's stuff with you. Like if you're having this Rise of Dark Realms in your hand, you can be very strategic with when you flash in your blockers, and you can actually target very specific creatures to then bring back. I'm curious, is there any reason that you didn't run, oh my gosh, the 1 mana?
Reanimate?
Reanimate, yeah. You can do the same thing.
Yeah, Reanimate, Dread Return, Animate Dead, they're all really good. They're all reanimation, they all target something, and honestly, it would build the deck up, but that would turn the deck closer to a Reanimator list for value. And if I go down that hill, I'm not going to be tempted to be running, what is this, Muck Drab? With a 5 mana cost, change a spell target, and I'll start thinking about, well, what can I recur for infinite value? Like, can I do something that just cheats enough stuff out? Might as well just throw Neheb the Eternal in there too for mana because he's hitting people.
But you love Neheb the Eternal.
I do. I really wanted to put him in here, but I felt bad, so I put Blood Moon in here for my Blood Moon and Hexmark Destroyer are my 2 pet cards of this deck.
Very nice.
Because I just didn't want to bully people that badly.
So hearing that, there is still one. I'm curious if you know about this card. I run this card in a Reanimator deck that I run. It's a Alesha who smiles at death.
She's Mardu.
Yes, she is Mardu, but this card is mono black. This is actually one of my favorite cards, and I do actually have this on the list to suggest for Bear as well.
Living Death.
Spoilers, Bear is also running the type of Reanimator deck this week. So Living Death is 3 black and a black for sorcery. Each player exiles all cards from their graveyards, then sacrifices all creatures they control, then puts all cards they exile this way onto the battlefield. And I love this in my Alesha deck because I absolutely am getting my deck or my graveyard filled with all of these like cheap creatures that are just serve general utility. And yeah, you can reanimate them here and there. And like you said with Garna, like, yeah, you might bring them back, but you might just let them go to your graveyard. Odds are you're going to have a more full graveyard than anyone else. And so this one is just such a great card to play and kind of slam down, especially when you're a little bit behind, because it acts as a board wipe. But odds are you also have the best graveyard to then recur. And I just swaps graveyard with battlefield, and I love playing this card because one, the wording on it just sounds so confusing. I just tell people like just switch all the creatures from your graveyard and your battlefield. They just swap places. But it just is such a big swing in power to have all of your little guys coming back. Especially, I know you weren't going for ETBs, but your guys do have haste with Garna. And so you could do that on your turn, bring in a whole bunch of your guys, and then they immediately swing in with haste. While odds are your opponents have very little on their board. You know, they brought back their Burnished Heart and their Solemn Simulacrum, and that's it. Oh, I really think Living Death is a great card for this deck.
I think Living Death is too good for this deck.
Really?
It can feel like a one-sided board wipe, Living Death. I've run this card in a lot of decks over the years. My mono black deck still has it. The Necron's Precon, which I played to death, had it.
I think this card is more fair than Rise of the Dark Realms, even though it's cheaper. I know Rise of the Dark Realms is more expensive, but I see Rise of the Dark Realms as so much more one-sided because there is just times where like someone did play a giant creature that you really don't want on the board, and you really have to debate like, is my board going to be able to deal with these people, or can I politics my way into dealing with these people if I bring that card back?
But I think Rise of the Dark Realms is just worse than Living Death.
Really?
Because I think the 5 mana switcheroo, everybody's affected, hurts people far worse than I get all your stuff. Because if your stuff sucks, then I'm just out of luck and probably out of mana too.
We need a tiebreaker on this.
I don't know.
Bear always sitting on the fence. He's the Switzerland apparently of our podcast.
Who Bear?
No, I think Rise of the Dark Realms is a good card, and it's one that I've pulled in the past, and I've looked at it and just considered the cost. But I feel like I would agree with Ren that it's worse. Just the casting cost and then the utility that you're getting from it. While it's nice, I think it doesn't necessarily fit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly how to say this, but I think I'm on Ren's side right now on this one.
I thought about Living Death because I'm a bully. And
I've played with him. He is very much a bully. He gets joy from killing people's stuff.
You remarked earlier that you're glad you see Blood for the Blood God in my list.
Yeah.
Blood for the Blood God plus Living Death is less mana than Rise of the Dark Realms. Because if I kill 8 creatures, then it's 3 mana plus the 5 mana. That makes it 8 mana.
But it exile. Wait, no, it does. It does destroy, huh? Sacrifice.
Yeah, it's sacrifice.
That's such
it's
a good
still
board wipe too, because it gets around indestructible.
It gets around everything.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great card.
Living Death is crazy good. I'm not arguing.
It's too good.
I don't want to play it.
It's too good.
Okay.
Because I'll figure out a way to loop it. That's just how I am.
Bear, did you have any specific card recommendations that you wanted? Well, I got a list, but I don't want to hog all the time with this.
Initially, when I was looking at this, I also misread what Garna did, and I was like, "Oh, we're going to return everything to the battlefield." And so now that
I'm glad every one of us did that.
That is, yeah. My list did get about cut in half when I realized that. I had all these like impulse draw things.
Yes, and so I think my recommendations are all falling heavily short here. But I guess I could ask Ren a question here regarding. Altar of Dementia as such an expensive card in your list.
Expensive mana wise?
Yeah,
sorry.
It's $18.
Expensive dollar wise. Which I know your list has some nice expensive cards in it, but what's the thought process of that being your one and only, well, not only sack outlet, but your main sack outlet here, and how are you going to utilize that for your game plan, if that makes sense?
So I am deeply afraid of a card called Amphibian Downpour.
Oh, I love Amphibian Down. What a great card.
There's a bunch of cards that can just shut down blockers, flash enchantments, or things like that. That'll just get rid of one of my creatures that's in the way at instant speed. And the only way I can deal with it is to kill my own thing. The reason I chose Altar of Dementia is mostly because Phyrexian Altar is $65. But I like making people mill just a couple cards, especially when they prompted it. I think it's a better deterrent than than like giving me value, because when people are milled in Commander, for some reason it feels like a personal attack.
Agreed.
So real quick, for those of you who can't see the video, Altar of Dementia is a 2-mana artifact. It says sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard.
Altar of Dementia basically mills people for my creatures dying. In red, there's a lot of things that just kind of give me value when my own creatures die. I'm thinking of Morbid Opportunist, Midnight Reaper, Dark Prophecy. I just don't know. There's one other one somewhere in here. They all basically ping me for 1 damage, and then I draw a card when one of my creatures dies. So the idea is to escape. This is a deck that if it gets slowed down, it halts. It has to be running like a well-oiled machine, or else I won't be able to interact in the way I want to be interacting. For that, I need plenty of fuel, mana, and most importantly, I need my creatures to be able to do what they're supposed to be doing. And so if anything is shutting it down, I need to be able to kill off that piece immediately, because I can't deal with Amphibian Downpour cutting off all my creatures, because I could just sack them all to Altar of Dementia or Ashnod's Altar, which is for some reason located in ramp. And then I could cast Garna to get all that back.
Ah, yes. Okay, I see it now.
So one where we are about out of time, I do want to get in this last one because this is actually one of my personal favorite cards, and it fits really well in this. Lobelia Sackville Baggins. Lobelia, she is I believe 3/2 with Menace, and she has Flash, so it fits perfectly. She's obviously a monster if you've read the books. Oh, sorry, 2/3 Flash with Menace. When she enters, you exile target creature from an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn, then create X treasure tokens, where X is the exile's card's power. So it's nice because you do get like just the control of, you can exile something from a graveyard if somebody's running something like a reassembling skeleton. But it is also really nice just as a combat trick, especially where you're trying to run ETBs and kind of surprise people and maybe kill some of their better creatures. This is a way you could like flash something in, kill something, and then follow it up with a Lobelia, make a bunch of treasure tokens if you killed something bigger, and essentially pay for that whole move, and then you got bodies on the board. And she's a good one to return to your hand as well. She's also a 2/3 with Menace, so she can swing, especially if you're pumping her up with some other stuff as well, like you're planning. But Lobelia Sackville Baggins is one of my one of just my personal favorite cards. I think it's just so funny that they made her a legendary creature in Lord of the Rings, and she swoops in when something dies and makes a bunch of treasure. Flavor on it is pretty fantastic. Any closing remarks, Ren, before we move on to Bear's deck?
I think mass land denial, such as Blood Moon, should not take me up to bracket 3 or 4. I think it should keep me at number 2. It's not that bad. Run basic lands.
Sorry to get political there, folks. That's definitely. I just want to say that the opinions of Ren don't reflect the opinions of all of us as a podcast, so we apologize if what he just said offended you.
But also, run more basic lands. Or run enchantment removal.
All right. Bear, let's move on to your deck. Go ahead and give us a rundown of kind of what you were going for here.
Sure. So my deck is, I guess, historically called, I'm learning this now, a Golgari Reanimator deck. I've never played a deck like this, and so the main reason why I chose this style of deck was because I hate my stuff dying. I hate my things going to the graveyard, and most of all, I just hate losing things. So what better way to overcome this fear than to play by intentionally losing things? So as I was going through potential ideas for this deck and different commanders, there's plenty of amazing commanders that you could go with. I found a sweet little one-cost commander called Grist, Voracious Larva. And Grist is a 1/2 with Death Touch for 1 green mana. And whenever he or another creature enters the battlefield under my control, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you may pay 1 green mana, and if you do, you exile Grist and then return to the battlefield transformed. And sweet little Grist becomes Grist the Plague Swarm. And you can see here, I mean, this is just such a great art and such a great card, but it also has some sweet abilities as a legendary planeswalker. I think the thing that's exciting me the most about this is just the kind of the dual utility of a one-cost commander, where all I have to do is have something enter or return, I guess, from my graveyard to the battlefield. So yeah, I'm super excited about this list. I really want to avoid, though, I think it's hard to avoid this, but one of the challenges I'm placing upon myself is to avoid pinging people to death. I think whenever you have the ability to bring in a lot of things all at once, or have a lot of things die all at once, or, I don't know, make 1,000,000 tokens, the answer is let's ping people. Let's ping them for damage. Let's heal ourselves by 1
It's
every
free
time.
damage.
Yeah, it is free damage, but in my opinion, that's the easy way
But it
out.
wears a hole in your iPad as you keep clicking up your life.
So true, so true. So my main goal is to avoid that and instead take advantage of Grist the Plague Swarm, Grist the Plague Swarm's -6 ultimate. It says for each creature card in your graveyard, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 black-green insect. So I wanted to build a deck where I had tons of sweet creatures with cool effects on them, cool abilities, or just great ETBs, and then all of a sudden I just make 1,000,000,000 insect copies of them. So yeah, that's kind of the idea behind my deck, and where I'm kind of going for where I'm trying to head is what I should say.
I think it's really cool having essentially a planeswalker in the command zone where you're almost solely focused on getting to its ultimate. Like as soon as I realized that that's what you were going for, like the +1 and the -2 to have are nice, but it does seem like clearly you want this deck to all be around the ultimate ability. And I really like that a lot. Like just how fast can I get this up before people try to kill it?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I get a situation here where on turn 1, I get my commander out, and then on turn 2, I find some of, I don't know, there's a lot of low-cost effects that you can return things to the battlefield, and I think that is kind of one of the goals here is how quickly can I get Grist to become Grist the Plague Swarm, and then how quickly from there can I mill, get my graveyard full of awesome creatures, and then make copies of all of them and just destroy everybody. I think that's a pretty exciting way to play.
Yeah.
And it's one I'm not used to.
No, I think it's awesome. So I think it's going to be interesting because when you play this deck next week against Ren and I, we're clearly going to know that that's your full game plan. And so I think we'll probably be a bit more aggressive towards you, just knowing that you have like that kind of like big ability that you're clearly gunning for.
Totally understandable.
But I do think it'll be funny because I think once you build this deck. So for those of you listening, we actually haven't built any of these decks yet. None of us have any of these decks in paper. These are purely theory crafted decks right now. But I think it'll be kind of funny because I think when you go and play this against people, even if you say, this is my Grist the Plague Swarm deck, I want to make a bunch of copies of the things using this ultimate ability, I don't think people are probably going to recognize how quickly you can get a planeswalker up to 6 counters.
Yes. Yeah.
Like I can see that you have a Agent Frank Horrigan who's going to come in and proliferate twice when he enters. Like I think that in green especially, you're going to have access to a lot of proliferation. And so I think you're going to catch a lot of people with their pants down with this deck, where they're just not going to realize how quickly you can get your planeswalker to 6. Or they'll just let you do it because you're going to play it turn 1. Like you can definitely try to sneak it out, or you can drop it late and just like turn it to 6 that turn.
Yeah. Yeah. Ren, what do you think about this so far? Be honest with me.
So you talked about my land count. At least my lands were in the deck.
Well, sure. I
assumed that the 56 open card slots were for 56 lands.
Yeah, that's the average Simic list, I think. So that would make sense.
Yes.
This isn't Simic though, so
like he
you don't
said,
get.
these decks aren't finished, and so I was just starting to put together a list. Do we want to show people this stuff, by the way? Do we want to show them the list?
Yeah, we'll link the lists. Well, I think we'll just link the lists in. I don't know that we'd have a great way. I don't know. We can talk about that after. But there will be links for the lists in the description.
Yes. There are a couple like I understand you want to do the cool thing with Grist. How are you going to win off of it? Because some of these cards, I mean, keeping track of it is going to be a pain in the neck. We can all agree on that the moment he brings everything back. But unless you're running like
the Capitoline Triad,
yeah,
that one will absolutely smoke people.
What does that one do? Where's that?
Oh, this one I've never seen this card before. It's so freaking cool. It's a 7/7 God Artificer. The art is just amazing.
This was one
10
I'm
mana.
excited about, yes.
Yeah, this one's super cool. And it's exile any number of historic cards from your graveyard with total mana 30 or greater. You get an emblem with creatures you control have base power and toughness 9/9.
So there you go, Ren.
So he can essentially return this to the battlefield as a 1/1, but it has that ability. And then he's gotten all of these big creatures back that are small creatures but have big effects on them. And then he can exile all of them from his graveyard, and now they're 9/9s on top of the other effects that they have.
Yes. I thought I misread Grist. I thought his downtick exiled the creatures, kind of like a Canoptic Scarab Swarm would.
It just makes a copy.
Speaking of Canoptic Scarab Swarm, I might look into that because that would be mean.
That is a great card. I will say it's an incredible one. But yeah, I think
it would go against your Capitoline Triad.
Yeah, the Capitoline Triad was just a card. As I was looking through, I was like, I want to use big creatures with sweet ETBs or just fun stuff. And I came across it and I immediately saw like, I'm already going to be putting in creatures with huge mana values because I'm cheating them out. And I guess that's the other part of this I should explain is that there's a lot of recursion and I haven't built out the full suite of it yet. But as I'm going, I'm adding more. I'm playing.
Did you see me?
Oh, go ahead.
Keep going. Sorry, keep going. No.
No, I was just saying I'm playing from my graveyard most of the time, and with that being said, I wanted to have giant creatures in there, and a lot of them happen to be artifact creatures, which just so happen to be historic. So, I included a few other things like the Cauldron of Eternity, just because it has a crazy high mana cost. Darksteel Colossus, Colossus of Akros, Bygone Colossus, like these cards that I'll be able to cheat out with someone like Zooey Feet, the Osteoharmonist. But I think at the same time, they offer some sweet utility when it comes to the Capitoline Triad, being able to then, all of those little insects that I make copies with, those guys are all going to be based
now are 9/9s.
Yeah, so I think there's just something interesting to be said there with this artifact synergy.
I really like your inclusion as well of Myojin of Grim Betrayal. It has remove an indestructible counter from it, put onto the battlefield under your control all creature cards in all graveyards that were put there from anywhere this turn. So that's like you could run a board wipe, or discard or self-mill, and then you self-mill that one -6, and then just return everything to your graveyard, or from your graveyard. I did want to recommend, this one's actually on my list, Myojin of Life's Web. It's 6 and 3 green for an 8/8. Same kind of idea. It comes into play with a divinity counter on it, and then you can remove a divinity counter from it and put any number of creature cards from your hand into play, which on its own already is going to be great. Like that'll be really nice for, you return that to the battlefield and then you can slam down some of the big creatures from your hand as well. But also because, and this works for both the Myojins, because they're specifically counters, your proliferate theme would be able to hit those as well. So, I mean, like you might be getting a little greedy by doing that, but in theory, you could play one of the Myojins, play one of your proliferate cards, or even if they're entering from the graveyard, you could have the Myojin enter first, have Agent Frank Harrigan enter after, double proliferate, and now you have 3 divinity counters on it. So you can you can remove a divinity counter 3 times and slam your hand out 3 times during the game. And it'll be indestructible until the last one leaves.
A little bit of correction there. The Myojins enter from play if you cast it from your hand specifically, so you cannot drag them back.
I missed that. That's so sad.
Welcome to Old Kamigawa. There's fun allowed, but it is very managed. Bear, I noticed you have Egon, God of Death, in the deck. Would you like to run me through that?
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna go die in a hole real quick.
Yeah, I think the flip side of Egon was what I was trying to go for, which was just the Throne of Death. Egon as a card doesn't play incredibly well, but there's, as you can see, I'm running a decently large mill suite, which I'm probably going to get upwards of 15 cards in that little package, just because I want to hit mill pretty consistently. But yeah, self-mill I think is going to be a key part of making this thing tick. I mean, getting stuff into the graveyard is probably one of the quickest ways to then get them onto the battlefield. I'm not going to lie, my mana curve is terrible. So Throne of Death is the backside of Egon, and I feel like it just makes sense to play that over Egon. But anyways, yes, I realize it looked like I was playing Egon, God of Death, and not the backside of that card.
I saw him and I was really excited because I started playing around the time Call Time came out, and Egon was one of those cards that I immediately latched onto because he's basically just a Grim Reaper, but I think his ability is kind of garbage.
Yeah,
So
and especially in a deck like this, I don't want to take anything out of that graveyard. So
yeah,
yeah,
You just want Throne of Death.
Throne
Yeah.
of Death is the main, and for one mana artifact that is just going to keep filling my graveyard each turn. I think that's a good. I think it's a good cost.
would you like to run me through Afterlife from the Loam as well, the Delve card?
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
here's the thing. I wanted a few spicy plays, and when I originally put this in, I didn't necessarily understand Delve, and then it's been hanging out in here, so I think it's probably going to get removed. But for each player, choose up to one target creature card in that player's graveyard. But anyways, that whole idea of being able to take people's stuff, put it onto the battlefield, including one of my own, is just kind of an interesting one. I know it's a higher mana cost card, but I think down the line, I'm going to be really not short on mana. If you look down, actually, it's called Life from the Loam is a
yes, I'm familiar.
2-cost card, and it has a beautiful effect called Dredge 3. And so every single turn, I'm going to be returning lands from my graveyard to my hand, and then those are hopefully going to go onto the battlefield. But I also have Ice Till Explorer, so I'm not, and Exploration Broodship. So I have a number of effects that allow me to play extra lands per turn. My goal here is I'm going to have a ton of mana by the time any of these cards matter. So casting an 8-cost Afterlife from the Loam is just another way that I can either trigger Grist if Grist got removed. It's another way to kind of turn the tide of battle. If I want to take somebody's cool creature from their graveyard, it's also pretty fun for that. So
just a couple quick, these are just little cards. They aren't necessarily bombs. These were some interesting ones that I've been kind of seeing lately. And this one I have to say first because I saw you have Haywire Might in here, and I was literally just watching a Commander Bomby video this morning. And if you guys don't watch Commander Bomby, go check him out. And Bomby, we know you're listening. Hit us up. I don't know how yet because we don't have socials yet, but we'll get there. Hit us up. We'd love to have you on. But Haywire Might, he was literally talking about this card this morning about how he doesn't play it in his green decks anymore, and he's replaced it with a card called Insidious Fungus. And so Insidious Fungus, very similar, but it's 1 for a 1/2. And then it has pay 2, sacrifice it, choose 1, destroy artifact, destroy enchantment, or draw a card, and then put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. And it's very similar to the Might. It just gives you a little bit more versatility, as well as you can turn 1 Insidious Fungus if you want, and then you could turn 2 kill somebody's Soul Ring, or turn 2 draw an extra card and put an extra land out.
Oh, that's a great card.
So
I think that's an auto include from my perspective here, but
yeah, and I mean, I think also I don't even think Haywire Might's a bad one to have in this by any means. I just think I saw that card this morning and watching this video, and I was like, oh, this really needs to go in Bear's deck. And then I just saw that you had Haywire Might. It was just funny because Bombi was specifically saying he replaced Haywire Might with Insidious Fungus. Another one. Let me find.
I have one.
You have one you want to go? Go for it.
How come you're not running Marin of Clan Neltoth in this deck?
Hear me out.
Because he's not basic.
Well, hear me out.
He
has
dignity.
I've heard.
He cares about his image.
I've placed
his
Marin.
creative
I've
style.
placed Marin of Clan Neltoth in my other Golgari deck that I was building, but here's my reasoning for not doing it right out the gate when I was building this. I wanted to
self-respect.
Self-respect, yes.
You could run Cankerbloom as
well. I guess the main reason was. Her trigger is really off things dying, which I have some ways to sack stuff, and I'll have some things leaving the battlefield. But for the creatures that I really want to bring back, or even just copy for that matter, they're expensive. It's going to take a lot of things dying before that even really makes a lot of sense. So, in my opinion, I was going to leave it out in favor of other things. Zooey Feet is kind of my, I don't know. I don't want to say I'm handicapping myself with this deck, but I'm trying not to go too crazy. But Zooey Feet, I feel like, is a good little middle ground where I can return creature cards from my graveyard, and they become skeletons, but they lose their activated abilities. They really have no abilities whatsoever. So I feel like that's kind of my middle ground. I feel like Marin is a little bit OP for a deck of this caliber, but I mean, she's good. What do you guys think? Do you think it's an include or no?
I actually really don't hate that card. It's just like the poster child of Golgari Reanimator, and so I don't like. I think you could literally put that card in any deck, and it will.
Any deck in those colors,
Yeah.
earns her keep.
Yeah, it's one of those kind of like Rise of the Dark Realms, like we were talking about earlier. Like it'll just be good in any deck. It's kind of just like I don't mind playing it in a deck as long as it actually fits the theme of the deck. And I would agree, you're like you are doing graveyard recursion, but you're doing a very specific kind where you want to load up your graveyard and then make copies of it. So you could put it in here and it would be good. It's just kind of up to you on like if you want to or not.
Okay, I'll consider that before I play.
If you're going for more flavorful, I'd say no. If you're going for more effective, I'd say yeah. But two more cards really quick. Malevolent Rumble, and this is literally just like a 30-cent sorcery. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a permanent card from among them into your hand, put the rest into your graveyard. Create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn token with sacrifice this creature, add colorless mana.
I'm going to add Bajuk to my deck.
Yeah, I probably should too. So you get ramp, you get a card draw, like selective card draw. You look at the top 4, and you're loading your graveyard all in one for 2 mana. I would just think that that's like an auto include in this, just because the versatility or the amount of value you get for 2 mana is so good.
I have another one. Have you heard of the card Canker Bloom Bear?
Yes.
It's very much in line with the Haywire Might, but it has you can proliferate as one of its sacrifice triggers.
I love it.
So I think it's destroy target artifact, enchantment, or proliferate. And it's just a good card. It's for March of the Machines. It's just one that I find that I lean on more than I probably should. I run that in not Caustic Caterpillar. I run that in the Scavenging Ooze probably far too often.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking? Let me actually ask for a little help. I'm probably the newest of the 3. I mean, you guys have taught me how to play this game, but I'm looking at my mana curve, and I think we can all tell that it is stupid, but it's intentionally stupid. I have 8 plus cards, 11 cards at 8 plus mana. I'm decently balanced in the low areas, but there's a lot of high cost stuff here, and I don't have a ton of ramp in here yet, which will come soon. But what would you guys say?
But you're going to play 65 lands, so.
Oh well, I mean,
no, sorry, go ahead.
No, ideally, yes, 65 is a great number. But I guess my question is, do you think the answer here is more consistent recursion engines for big stuff and just really lean into mill? Or do you think I need to add more low-cost creatures in here? Because I feel like I have an interesting mix right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I like to lean more into the theme of the deck than I do into the power of the deck. So that part of me definitely says like, no, you should just reanimate using the 1/1 guys. Like, that should be your way of reanimating things. If you don't use that, you don't reanimate, and then focus on that. So the part of me that likes to be creative definitely says no. However, I realize you're not the same as me, and that will 100%, like playing that way will handicap your deck. Like your deck will be stronger if you run a strong reanimation suite, because you're absolutely going to be loading your graveyard with lots of big creatures. Like I do have Living Death on my list for you as well.
Take that off.
Because you're going to have with a mana curve this big, nobody is going to have a graveyard bigger than yours. So it's just kind of like a power versus creativity balance in my view.
Yeah.
Ren, what are your thoughts?
What is your goal with the deck? If it's to downtick 6 Grist and just get a bunch of funny looking mites and then give them all 9/9.
Yeah.
Rather than worry about Reanimator stuff, because I think Reanimator is something, if you just splash it in, it's not great. I think it's something you have to kind of commit to harder than most decks would like. And Mill is the same way. So I think if you're running Mill, you're not running as much Reanimator. So I think it's totally fine to not do that.
Okay.
I would probably kill off some of these giant creatures you have. You've got Hogak here. You're not going to cast Hogak. Nobody casts Hogak.
I might cast it.
Hogak is a card that...
Yeah, I would kind of echo that, especially just looking at some of the big ones are more like their ability isn't very good, just their power and toughness is good.
Yes.
And they're going to be entering as 1/1. So I would be looking more for guys like, I'm less concerned about their power and more concerned with specifically the ability that they bring with them, like the Capitoline Triad.
Yeah.
But I would also say, beyond just mill, and to be honest, this kind of came to me just now, so I don't have any recommendations off the top of my head. Hopefully, maybe Ren, you can think of some. But I would maybe look at running like some self discard as well, because there's just a chance that like I play an Atla Palani deck where you want to cheat out creatures from in your deck, and when you're running a mana curve with 10 or 15 creatures that are above 7 mana, you just end up drawing them. And it's actually kind of a pain going like, well, I don't really have the 10 mana to cast this whatever, my Eldrazi. I don't have the 10 mana to cast this, and so now it's just sitting in my hand. And I'm not going to get it out of my deck. And so I would suggest maybe looking into some self-discard. I know Black has a lot of discard. I can't think of stuff off the top of my head, but I'd look and see if maybe you could find stuff in Black that maybe is like discard, draw a card, discard, add mana, discard, do something so that you can pitch those cards and get them into your graveyard where they belong. Because you are inevitably going to draw your Capitoline Triad. You're inevitably going to draw your Arvinox the Mind Flail, and then just be sitting there going like, I don't have the 9 mana or the 10 mana to cast this spell. I want to be able to do other things. So I would add in some discard cards, like just cantrips essentially that discard a card and draw something, or I don't know. Do you know any of those that are off the top of your head?
I thought of Siphon Mind. It doesn't make you discard, but each player discards a card. You draw a card for each card discarded this way.
Oh yeah, that's fantastic.
I think you want cards that hurt other people because your mill will take a lot of time to build up. You could also I think Afterlife of the Loam is fine, I guess. Artisan of Kozilek, you've got no reason to run this card.
Well,
when you
Annihilator
cast
3 on a 1/1 is pretty funny.
Yeah, it is funny, but like it's when you cast a spell.
Hear me out.
This is the
wait.
This is the weirdest.
Let me tell you
something. No. Let me just explain. There are some things. There's Reanimate. There's a few of these other like low cost return a creature. I'm gonna add more, but I'm kind of it's a little bit of a mix. In the early game, I don't have a lot of little creatures that are going to be able to protect my Grist. And so my hope is that some of these bigger ones, I'm still going to be able to return them to the battlefield through one form or another, whether that's Reanimator or not, using Zooey Feet, whatever. They have big power, they have big toughness. And then some of them will luckily, through, Reanimate, through, let me look through some of these other options that I included, Dread Return, through Diregraph Rebirth, like some of these cards, I'm going to be able to bring out an Ancient Stone Idol that is a 12/12 and not just a 1/1. I'm going to be able to bring out the Annihilator to Artisan of Kozilek on turn 3 if I wanted, using Reanimate or something else, So I think there's, it depends, obviously, but I think there's kind of this middle ground where some of these big creatures, my hope is to get them out early as well.
All right, we gotta move on. There, but I'm really excited to see what you end up coming up with for this next week.
Me too, because
I absolutely will be adding Bojuka Bog into my deck.
2 Bojuka Bogs have been added, yes.
Incredible.
I'm up to 37 lands now, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, so my deck that I wanted to do was a Nixilis the Fallen as a commander deck. So Nixilis the Fallen, he's a 3 black demon. He 3 power, 3 toughness, and he has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target player lose 3 life. If you do, put 3 1/1 counters on Nixilis the Fallen. I want to run this deck purely out of like stubborn will. When I very first started playing Magic, this was actually a card that I bought and put in a couple different decks. It's actually one of the first cards I bought multiple copies of. And I just thought it was really good. And it is a really good card, actually. It's not like the best card I've ever seen, but 5 mana, every time you play a land, you're pinging someone for 3, you put 3 1/1 counters on him. If you're running this in anything that ramps, so if you run this in Golgari, where you're going to be ramping, or I'm trying to remember what I ran it in.
Sounds like jund nonsense to me.
Yeah, I don't remember what I ran it in, but I was running it in something that ramped a ridiculous amount. So you get 3-4 lands enter, you knock someone's health down by 12, and all of a sudden you got a 15-15 with
Was
trample.
this in your Muldrotha deck?
Yeah, this probably was in my Muldrotha deck.
I remember you killed somebody and played like 5 lands a turn.
Yeah, we don't talk about my Muldrotha deck because that was an early deck, and I read that card wrong. I read cards wrong a lot.
You can't read.
Guys. I am illiterate. But I built my Muldrotha deck wrong because I built my Muldrotha deck wrong because I didn't realize that it was only permanents. I just thought it said you could cast spells, and so I ran like a hardcore ramping landfall Muldrotha deck where I would just keep casting my ramp spells from my graveyard, and I played that for like months before anybody realized it. And I was the one who caught it because somebody was like, "Oh, what does your commander do again?" And I literally was just reading my card to them, and it was like, "Oh, I've been playing this wrong." And it was like months of me playing this wrong and my friends dealing with it, and nobody caught it. Anyway, Nixilis the Fallen. Basically, I played him in decks. He was really fun. I thought he would be a cool commander, and then I went, mono black is a terrible landfall color. And that just made me want to build it all the more because when I see something where it's like this card clearly doesn't fit where it belongs in the color pie, and it's kind of terrible, I just want to build it. So I want to build a mono black landfall deck. That's my goal. So I want to get a ton of big mana. I don't want to use like rituals and whatnot. I just want to play a ton of lands. My list right now has 52 lands in it. I'll probably cut that down a little bit.
I don't think.
But I
you
want to
should.
play a ton of swamps. I want to play a ton of swamps. I want to get my Cabal Coffers out. I want to play my Crypt Gas. And I want to just spend 1 million mana and try to kill people some way. The 2 issues I've run into with this: getting out a lot of swamps in mono black is not as easy as it sounds. And secondly, I don't know what I actually want to be the win con. With Nixilis, the obvious win con is you make him into a 40-40 and you Voltron him up and swing him at people. And I really just don't want to do that. I don't particularly like Voltron. I do run some artifacts in here more for protection, but I don't want it to just be, I'm going to make a giant commander and swing him at you, and then somebody will Swords to Plowshares him, and then I sit out for the rest of the game. So I want to actually utilize the fact that I am going to have 1 million lands on the battlefield. So I need to figure out how to get all these lands out, and then I want to use that to win the game in somehow. Except for I don't want to use Torment of Hailfire either because I hate that card. So that's kind of where I'm stuck at. So I'm curious what your guys' ideas are for how to make sure I'm getting out enough lands, and then maybe some ideas for like finishers in this, or just general critiques also.
I can't actually find this.
Seems pretty good to me. I mean, it's
Archidekt.
looking great. 52 lands. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing.
No critiques. I also have 106 cards in the deck
that's
right
fine.
now.
Okay,
so.
critiques. Well, when I was looking through, I didn't realize that like a couple of the cards I'd written down as suggestions you had already included, which maybe you've updated the deck list since I went back through. But anyways, originally,
Well, by all means, stroke my ego. Tell me about them anyway.
It's bad.
Tell me how great I am.
Iridescent Vine Lasher, I think, is an awesome card. He's a little 1-cost lizard assassin, and I just really loved the ability to make copies of him, and then the landfall ability that he has, I think, is great. Originally, when I was looking over some of your goals, and you were talking about not wanting to Voltron Nixilis, I was like, okay, then what's our payoff? And I immediately went for, okay, I guess we're pinging people on land entry. And I found that card, and I thought it was great, and lo and behold, you already have it. So anyways, I would say I'm excited to see the little lizard assassin come out, and then you just pay 30 mana and make, I don't know, 15 of them. It just seems cool to me. I don't know.
Wait, can you pay the offspring? You can only pay the offspring cost once, right?
I hope so.
I thought you could pay it as many
I've
times
actually-
as you want.
Oh my gosh, we should probably look into this. I've never actually considered that you could play it more than once. Let me.
I'm thinking of Squad. I'm probably
Yeah, you're thinking of
Squad.
Yeah, because it's just an additional cost.
Oh, never mind. He's way less cool now. I take it back.
He's still fun though. I mean, at that point, I'm getting 5 damage per land.
Now he's a nerd now.
But he is not as good. Dang. You got me really excited there for a sec.
I got excited for a second too. Trust me. One card I hate is Dauntless Scrapbot. I just want to point out this card because I hate it. When this creature enters, exile each opponent's graveyard and create a lander token. I think it's overrated. I think we could just auto-remove this one. I don't know. What do you guys think?
You know, it was on the fence, and then after seeing your guys' deck lists, I want to find more of these cards. I might just run 10 copies of it. No, I do actually really like it. I mean, for exactly that, I like when creatures just have a little bit of extra control tacked onto them. It's also one of like the only cards in black that makes lander tokens. I was so excited. When I was going to Edge of Eternity's pre-release and I was like reading about all the mechanics, I saw lander tokens. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. I'm gonna be able to finally get enough stuff to get lands out in mono black. And then there was like 4 cards that I could get. So it added stuff, but not very much. But yeah, I will hopefully be drawing that, and I will take any hand that has that in the opening next week when we play each other.
Now, I know I would probably be the bad guy for saying this, so I will anyway. Have you thought about Phage? You'll have the mana to cast Phage. You'll Phage the Untouchable. If you cast her from anywhere other than your hand, you lose the game. But she has Death Touch for creatures and Player Death Touch. If she hits somebody, they lose the game. So I think she is good because I've noticed you have some swords, sort of Forge and Frontier, Hearth and Home. That makes it pretty difficult for people to block. You're running Realm Breaker, the Invasion Tree. I don't know why you're running that. But you can put a landfall.
To put lands from people's graveyards onto the battlefield. That's
So-
all. I just want more lands.
So do you want to go more into that, where you can just kind of like rip things from people's libraries?
Not in particular. I literally just Scryfall, put a land onto the battlefield under your control, and anything in black. And like, as far as I can tell, I have most of those cards in this deck. So Realm Breaker, it's not good. But yeah, that is why it's in this deck. It's just something that's going to get me an extra land per turn. I really don't care that it's going to end up costing 5 mana to run it because I anticipate having quite a bit of land. But yeah, just anything that's going to get.
Have you
me
seen
land.
Praetor's Grasp?
Here's grass.
Praetor's Grasp is an old favorite of mine. 1 black for a sorcery. Search target opponent's library for a card and exile it face down. Then that player shuffles his or her library. You may look at and play that card for as long as it remains exiled.
What would you suggest tutoring up with that?
Myriad Landscape. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of have an agreement amongst ourselves not to be running Soul Rings in every deck just because it takes the 100 card count down to 99. So I think the meanest thing you can do is take somebody's land ramp that they thought was sacred. You could just rip it from their hand. It's a good card. It's pretty spendy these days.
This is a $19 card, but I really, really love the idea of like, I play Praetor's Grasp, and they're all like, what is he going to play?
Is
And
it
then I'm like, I
Rise of the
take
Dark
this land. Oh, okay.
No, it's face down. That means you
Oh,
take
they-
it face down. You say
they don't
you
even get to
can't
know.
check it, and then the next turn you drop down a Myriad Landscape in their sleeve or their color
Oh,
or
that's
whatever it
really
is.
good. My only thing with that is that then that's my land play for a turn. So I'd maybe want like
Yeah, but next turn it's 2 lands.
Wait, but I can only play 1 land per turn.
Yeah, but
But that's
you
what I said.
sack
If
a
I'm running
Myriad
52
Landscape,
lands,
and then
I'm not gonna miss a land.
well, then you can go down to 50. I don't
Maybe
know.
I'll steal like a Harrow or something. Try to find their. I don't
No,
know.
it doesn't change color identity, unfortunately.
Oh, so I can't.
no.
Oh, it's gotta
no.
be.
Yeah, it's gotta be in
okay,
black.
Interesting. I still think I'll run that card
Yeah, it's funny.
because, like, worst case scenario, I might just steal one of their lands and just be like, yeah, I played that so I could steal one of your lands.
You could steal somebody else's Bajuka Bog.
Ooh.
Okay, one card in here that I do just want to like talk about, and I'm really like, I'm just curious if you guys know anything similar to this. Retribution to the Ancients. I actually found this card for a different deck that I'm going to bring on here later. It might be my next deck that I bring up. But Retribution to the Ancients is an enchantment. It's single black mana, and it has pay a black mana, remove X/1/1 counters from among creatures you control. Target creature gets -X until end of turn.
Ooh.
And I really liked this one, just as a way to be like, no, I'm not going to swing my 30/30 on Nixilis at you. I'm going to pay 1 mana and kill all your stuff with it. I just thought that was kind of a funny removal, and I just like being able to use those 1/1 counters. So I was just kind of curious if you guys knew of anything 1/1 countering I could do, because I am going to make a lot of 1/1 counters. With Nixilis out, he will have a million 1/1 counters on him.
I have an idea.
So I've got one too.
All right, go for it.
Go ahead,
Let her
Bear.
rip.
No.
This
You
is
go
exactly
first. I
what I
gotta go
wanted.
I gotta go find this card in my list. 1 second. 1 second.
All right. I've got 2 cards. One to get around the tapped Myriad Landscape enter. It's called Tiller Engine. When a land enters the battlefield enters tapped and under your control, choose one. Untap that land or tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. That means your tapped lands start either tapping other people's stuff or start untapping. It's pretty good. It's another expensive card. It was originally, I think, in the DMC. That's the Painbow Precon, I believe. And then the other card it's one that I'm known for. I would say that I might have a bit of a reputation for. Massacre Girl.
Oh, beautiful card.
Now, Massacre Girl is the ramping best board wipe best girl.
Which one, Massacre Girl or Massacre Girl Known Killer?
You don't need Wither, just Massacre Girl. Massacre Girl is a ramping board wipe that when she enters, she gives all creatures -1/-1 till end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 till end of turn.
So if I have Mega Commander, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, if there's only 20 creatures on the battlefield, if Grist just popped off and there's 91 ones, Massacre Girl enters, kills them all, and if your guy is for some reason at 300 power, he doesn't die.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all.
I have
Bear,
a-
what was your idea? I
have
did
a
want to hear.
suggestion, and this is stupid, so just bear with me.
He said the thing.
I know. Oh wait, are we getting demonetized now? We should have gone over language that we could or could not use. Anyways, here I'll start again, and we'll just cut here. Okay, I have an idea, and just bear with me. It's a card called MWHAH Refinery. What's so funny?
You're just don't edit either one of.
Don't worry about
just
it.
don't edit this portion.
I won't edit
It'll be
any of
great.
this. Okay.
The listeners will love it.
MWHAH Refinery. It's a 2-cost artifact. You can pay 2, remove X counters from an artifact or creature you control, and choose 1. And there are 2 options. Or you can put X charge counters on a target artifact, or you can put X 1/1 counters on a target creature. So there's a couple things you can do with this. I know this is really great in artifact decks, but I would be opposed to a goofy win con here where you put it in a Darksteel reactor and you just, Ob Nixilis is 30/30. You remove 20 whatever 1/1 counters from him and then go put 20 charge counters on your Darksteel reactor and just win the game.
Oh, and that's instant speed too. Oh, that's amazing.
Or,
I don't even have to. I don't like that at all.
I like that a lot.
Or,
that's such a good idea.
There's a creature called Crystalline Crawler, and this was actually printed in, I mean, this may be a reprint, but it's in the newest set. It is a 4-cost artifact. It comes in with 1/1 counters on it for each color of mana spent to cast it, but it has this awesome ability where you can remove 1/1 counters and add mana of any color. So that being said,
so you can you can just turn all your 1/1 counters. Yeah, you need both of them out, but then you can remove the counters. I like that a lot too.
So counter manipulation.
That's just a super fun little combo.
Yeah, counter manipulation. I mean, and again, if you're using MWHAH Refinery, it's a fun card. You really open the door for all the cool charge counter artifacts out there. Things like Lux Artillery or Lux Cannon. You removing some charge counters and blowing things up, or every turn you're pinging everybody for 10 damage. At the rate that you're going to be making your 1/1 counters, just leaving them on Ob Nixilis is great, and maybe you want to do that. But
no, that's amazing.
There's a fun thought there, and looking for creatures with those 1/1 counter remove effects. You can even find there's one called Mindless Automaton. You remove 2 1/1 counters and draw cards. So you can turn your counters into a currency at that point.
Yeah, I like that a lot, actually. And that's one thing that I was curious about. And I'm really glad you brought this up. And I love that you said specifically, I know this is more for artifact decks. This deck runs just based purely on, right now, this deck has
a lot of artifacts. I think it's 30, 20 something.
I think I counted 34, which I am at 115 cards, so that is high. But it does run a ridiculous amount of artifacts. Just because there's a lot of cards that put lands on the battlefield that are artifacts, and since I'm only in one color. So I was actually kind of wondering if I should maybe look for going into some sort of artifact sub-theme. So I really like that you brought that up, because that does open the charge counters thing does open up a lot, and then I can maybe see if I can run some artifact tutors to make sure that I get that out. I think that's a really, really fun card.
Cool.
Like that. I'm so glad you brought that up, Moxite Refinery, because that is like that's a card where I would like consider building this deck around that card.
Yeah, it's an
That's
incredible
and it's
card.
49-cent card. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, at
So
the rate you're
I
going to
will
be
definitely
making those
consider running that.
counters, at the rate you're making your counters, I feel like it's a good opportunity to do something. So I don't know. Look into those charge counters. Look into those 1/1 counter manipulation pieces, and see what you think.
All right.
Now we don't have too much longer because we don't want to go way too far over an hour. But I think running a bit of control in a deck like this would be very helpful because your game plan is not very complicated.
No.
You kind of do one thing. You play lands, you hurt people, and then you're like, why did you kill my commander? Those are the 3 steps to this deck. So I think
I'll practice that in the mirror. Why did you kill my commander?
that would be great. I think there's a couple cards like Grafdigger's Cage that it reads creature cards it's 1 mana for an artifact. Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast spells from graveyards or libraries.
Yeah, I don't want you to do that. I think that's a terrible card.
Basically, it is a hate piece.
Yes.
It hates people playing graveyard stuff.
Yeah.
Since your deck is totally fine just not using your graveyard, not even looking at it, like you won't miss it.
I like that as well as a hate piece. I think I might have to look into that as well. That was one thing though I was thinking about was running just a little bit of Reanimator, but I was kind of wanting to. I haven't looked into it, but I was thinking maybe some artifact Reanimator because so many of the artifacts are sacrifice this, put a land on the battlefield. So I was kind of thinking my graveyard might get full already.
So why are you running Caged
Sun?
Sun?
To see you remove Grafdigger's Cage and then just go full on artifact heavy Nixilis. That would be very fun.
It is an artifact, so you can leave
you
it.
can remove
Yeah.
it. You can remove it. It's fine.
But I do have to cut 16 cards at this point already. So
Yeah, I would prefer
Okay.
that one gone because otherwise I can't play my
17.
entire
You need to put
deck, so.
Bajukabog in.
I do think that is a pretty good place to end it. So let us know what you thought in the comments. Feel free to comment any suggestions. Please be nice to us, just because we're really soft on the inside.
We're
but
not very emotional.
We're not very emotionally stable.
Yeah, I'll worry about this tonight.
But thank you guys for listening. We hope that you had a good time. We hope that maybe you can take some of these ideas away from you, or that it inspires you to just go build a new deck that's creative and talk to your friends about how the heck to do it. So thanks for giving it a listen. This has been the Magic That You Have at Home podcast. We'll see you later.
Peace.
Goodbye.